Ladies, gentlemen, and young ladies, while we are in the process of talk about Afghanistan, Venezuela, the situation is very serious on the land in Ukraine. Russia has just to pour out an uncontrolled number of drones and missiles on Ukraine. On the night of September 19 to 20, 2025, no, Russia struck massively Ukraine. We don't know what it's because of accusations that NATO is making to carry against Russia or whatever. But yesterday night, it was very, very serious. The capital, Kiev, until now, where we are talk. Some are even afraid to go out from their shelter so much that Russia has plowed, Russia struck. And it's all sad, it's pathetic. Poor populations are in the process of suffer unnecessarily because of political decisions of their responsible. Ladies and gentlemen, several regions Ukrainians were affected, severely affected. There have been several damage. Many were sent to the eternal rest. The toll is very heavy. As part of this video conference, it is from this news that we are going speak. But before continuing, I would like to humbly ask to share the video conferencing at most. And you share it in all the possible groups. Put a lot of likes and don't forget to leave your different opinions in comment. Let's go into the depths. So, this is an attack of a magnitude exceptional. Yes, it happened on the night of the 19th. As of September 20th, Russia has launched more of 580 Marinat drones, more than 580 drones, and nearly 40 missiles. Can you imagine? More than 580 drones and nearly 40 missiles. I tell you, we have like the impression that Russia is angry. Everything that happened, Poland has accused Russia, Romania accused Russia, and then Estonia accuses Russia. I tell you that we have the impression that Russia wants to revenge on the field. Otherwise, it's the first time in any case for me knowledge since I have been making conferences on geopolitics international concerning in particular Ukraine. This is the first time we hear that nearly 40 missiles were dropped on Ukraine. Nearly 40 missiles. Drones have always been too many. But more than 40 missiles, the number is exaggerated. Russia no longer has of limit. That's the exact word. So, several cities were affected. The GPRO was hit. Quem, what do you even call this city? Well, this is Kemnilstik. Here, understand like that. We have Cherniv too, which was affected. We have areas, residential properties that were affected, infrastructure, especially energy infrastructure, which was struck. That is to say, I have the impression that Russia wants to end everything quickly. You see, we get angry. Only Russia. Russia strikes massively Ukraine since apparently we were asking ourselves the question since yesterday, since the day before yesterday. We say to ourselves, but what is Russia thinking? Why Russia is going provoke NATO member countries? Why is Russia doing this? Russia has, what's the point? But in the end, we see Russia denies. We see Russia say that it is not true. Yes, the Russia answers its ways. And for show one's goodwill, one's good faith, that what the state is doing, the Russia is not happy at all. The Russia will strike Ukraine. More than 40, almost 40 missiles. It's too many, it's too much. Usually it was around 5 to 6 when it's too much. Or you are told 2 missiles or 1 missile, but 40 missiles. Now that's serious. So this what must be said is that despite the Ukrainian interceptions, the results remains very heavy. Several deaths and dozens of civilians injured. Yes, when Russia strikes, it is not a skirmish, it's a firestorm. Ukraine finds itself in the a total chaos is widespread. And this is the panic. People are running around in all directions. So what are the consequences? Immediate on the ground after this strike, before continuing, please share the video conference. Please, it must be shared as much as possible. The moment we are in the process of speak, it is exactly 11 Ward GMT. The sirens are sounding, the populations are in panic, the scenes of flight and chaos are in the streets. People are fleeing. If I tell you, it runs in all the sense. They are running away. They don't even know where to go since there isn't even an exit door. And you can stay running away. You hear behind you Gadao and you say, thank God, I was saved at least, and finally you are forced to stick you somewhere there. In the meantime, the Ukrainians are struggling to make ends meet tail, and even the devil's tail they do not are seeing more. That is to say, if you hear you're pulling the devil out by the tail, is that you see the devil himself to be able to pull his tail. The devil even he no longer sees. Yes, the Ukrainians are suffering as impossible. What is happening in Ukraine is very, very serious, ladies and gentlemen. It's worse than what is happening. Passes through Gaza. Yes, if we can say so. So, it must be said that infrastructure was damaged. There was a power cut. Homes were destroyed, and Ukraine accuses Moscow of deliberately targeting the civilians to simulate terror. So Ukraine begins to accuse Moscow of state terrorism, the same accusations that Moscow formulates with regard to or against Kiev. These are the same accusations that Kiev is making now formulate against Russia, since obviously the cursed operandi, the mode of operation of these two states, it's almost the same thing. The same way Russia is hitting Ukraine, this is how Ukraine is doing too. Ukraine also hits Russia and vice versa. So it must be said that behind each missile dropped, it's a family Ukrainian which is broken. It is necessary, remember. And so, what are the issues? Strategic and policies of these strikes to which Russia just surrendered? It must be said that Russia is striking for impose its law because it is Russia who must always continue to dictate the tempo. Russia wants to show, this is Russia showing that it keeps sorry. So Russia shows that it keep the initiative, strikes, and she can strike anywhere, even places that are very remote from the front. So the strategy news that is used by Russia, it wears out the defense Ukrainian. This exhausts the Ukrainian defense, and this is a clear message that Russia send, which means non-negotiations will not take place without Moscow showed his strength. Putin does not negotiate from a position of weakness. He bombs first, and he then speaks. And where does this idea come from? You saw they started to getting restless lately. I won't talk about Westerners, Europeans, Outanians. They said in particular when we take the last one's positions taken by Kadias Kallas, the head of European diplomacy, was very clear. She said that the war will last at least 2 more years and Ukraine should leave position of strength, that Ukraine has the force on the ground. But how can Ukraine have this strength? And so ladies, young ladies and gentlemen, that was the front page of international news. Thank you for the share as much as possible. I'll get back to you just now by the grace of the Almighty with new news. It was the voice of your humble servant, the Samurai.